It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the movies of April 22nd, 1994. We only got 4 movies to look at today, so let's not waste any more time. Let's just jump on into it. And we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is the star-studded Western from director Jonathan Kaplan with Madeline Stowe, Mary Stuart Masterson, Andie MacDowell, and Drew Barrymore. That is Bad Girls. I mean, a great cast, a great director. You would think that this could work, but yeah, it didn't. It really did not. It was a movie that had so much potential to it. There was a lot of good ideas, a lot of good talent on here, but you could pretty much tell if you dig deep into the history of this film that there was a lot there that this movie really could not save it. The original director of this was supposed to be Tamara Davis, who would later go on to direct Half Baked. And 3 weeks into filming, she was fired, and they hired a new producer. They brought in Jonathan Kaplan. They brought in a new scriptwriter, a new cinematographer, and the budget went up. The film just didn't work as the film went through all these difficult problems behind the scenes. Madeline Stowe later called it a terrible, terrible movie that she worked on. And it was a movie that just had so much potential to it. There's such a good idea here. But I think that trailer, perfectly sums up everything that's wrong with this movie. It doesn't know what kind of a tone it wants to set. I mean, I think when you have a movie with Madeline Stowe, Mary Stuart Masterson, Andie MacDowell, and Drew Barrymore, four of the top actresses in Hollywood at the time, some of the top actresses at the time. I mean, you would think there would be something more to it. It's like try to do something kind of like a female equivalent to Young Guns. Like I feel like that's what the initial idea was, but I don't know what they were thinking when they made this movie. And they got so much talent on board here. They brought in Jerry Goldsmith to do the music for this, and just the pieces were there. Just the execution was not, though. It was a movie that feels like it's all over the place. It doesn't feel like it's trying to do anything different or unique. It just feels like a Western that we've seen done over and over again. And it's a shame because there is so much potential here with this movie and these two people that are involved in here, but in the end, it just doesn't lead to anything. It doesn't lead to anything really enjoyable. It's a mostly misguided mishap on so many levels, and you just feel like there's so much potential there, but it just doesn't stick the landing in the end. It's a huge disappointment. I was really looking forward to seeing this movie at least when I saw it in the DVD bin at Walmart many years ago, and when I saw it for the first time, I really did not like it, and it's a movie that it took me a lot to really remember what about this movie I didn't like, and when I saw the trailer again, it kind of immediately brought me back to everything I didn't like about it. It's a movie that really, they missed the mark on it big time. It's a movie that could have been so much more, but in the end, it just wasn't. So, that's Bad Girls. So let's move on to the next movie, and that is The Inkwell. Here you go again, another movie with so much potential to it. Another movie that has a great cast: Lawrence Tate, Joe Morton, Glenn Turman, Vanessa Bell Calloway, Morris Chestnut, Jada Pinkett, Dwayne Martin. Just a really good cast, a really good idea to tell this story set in the 1970s. But just the execution overall and the script it doesn't really do anything all that exciting. And again, the trailer I think kind of gives you an indication of why this didn't work out so well. It's a movie that feels like the potential is there, but when you actually watch the movie, it feels like you're watching the first episode of a sitcom, like a really bad, like if the Wonder Years had a knockoff show, kind of like the. That's exactly what I think it would kind of be like, kind of like a knockoff to the Wonder Years. You're just missing the narration by I don't know, Lawrence Fishburne or somebody like that, whoever the top black actor was at the time. But I mean, it's not that it's bad. It's just something that we've seen done so much better in other movies. I can think of so many other movies that have done this type of a story much better. Like a very underrated movie, I think that in the similar type of thing is Roll Bounce, which came out about 2005, which is a very underrated film. I mean, I give him credit that the effort is there. It's just the execution doesn't really work out well. And like with Bad Girls, it doesn't do anything to really stand out on its own. It's a movie that feels like there's something special there. They just can't crack the nut to open it up and show the true potential of this movie. It's a shame too, because like I said, there is a lot of potential here, a good cast, some good ideas, just not the right execution. So unfortunately, that's another misfire for the Inkwell. So Anyway, on to the next movie, and that is Brain Scan. Yet another movie that had a lot of potential to it, a good idea, a pretty good cast. I mean, Eddie Furlong, Frank Langella, T. Ryder Smith looks like he's having a good time with this, but just it's nothing new that we haven't. It's nothing that we haven't seen done already, and done a whole lot better. It's a movie that feels like we've seen this concept done so many times before, and since this movie came out, and I don't know, the idea of just trying to create a video game villain like this, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It's a film that I think was trying to sell its soundtrack more, because the soundtrack has a lot more memorable things about it. I mean, you've got songs by Primus, White Zombie, Butthole Surfers, Alcohol Funny Car, Mud Honey, Old. The theme is the score is by George S. Clinton. I mean, that's a pretty good soundtrack that I think they were trying to sell more than the actual movie. And I guarantee you, if I find a TV spot for it, there'll be a thing for the soundtrack first before the actual credits, or even afterwards, because I think this is the type of movie that will actually sell that type of a thing. And we've seen Eddie Furlong act before outside of Terminator. We talked about several of his movies that he's been in since Terminator 2 came out. Stuff like Pet Sematary 2, American Heart, A Home of Our Own. The kid has shown the kid. I mean, at the time he was a kid, but he has shown that he has potential as an actor, and he would eventually show that later on in the '90s with a couple of pretty good movies. I mean, Pecker, American History X, Detroit Rock City, just to name a few. But in this case here, it's a movie that just feels like there's potential there, just bad execution. It's a film that just doesn't work. It's a shame too, because, like I said, a lot of potential here. It just doesn't work. I feel like that's going to be the theme for this weekend, because I think the last movie is actually that too. You've got Corbin Burnson, Erica Eleniak, William McNamara, and Dennis Hopper's Chasers next. It literally is the theme of this week, because honestly, you could pretty much say the same thing about this movie. I mean, Dennis Hopper has proven he can direct movies. He's done a pretty good job of directing a couple of pretty good films. The Hot Spot, we've already talked about on here. He directed Easy Rider, of course. But a film that has a good cast like this, Tom Berenger, William McNamara, Erica Eleniak, Crispin Glover. Hopper's also in here. Gary Busey, Seymour Cassell, Dean Stockwell, Bitty Schramm from Monk. Dan Gilroy, who's a prolific writer, is the one who wrote this. Music by Dwight Yoakam. I mean, the setup is there. It's just none of the jokes are really funny, and the chemistry between Berenger, McNamara, and Eleniak just isn't there. Like, I don't buy Erica Eleniak as this smart, sophisticated criminal who's able to get away from these two guys that are supposed to take her in as quick as they do in this movie. I mean, it gets ridiculous. Like, these guys should not be this stupid in order to keep falling for this trick over and over and over again. I mean, and you think Dennis Hopper's going to be one of the main characters in there, but no, that's just a cameo for him. And like how much of an ego do you have to put a cameo of yourself in the actual trailer and making you think that you're one of the big stars of the movie when really you're not? I mean, it's a movie that really is a huge misfire. I think what Dennis Hopper was trying to do was basically try to make a mainstream comedy, success, but needless to say, it didn't work in this case. And again, much like with most of the movies we've talked about on here, it's a movie that has potential. Could be good if you had the right leads to it. Could be good if you had a good script to it. But it just wasn't there. It's a movie that has a lot of potential, but wrong execution. So that's Chasers for you. And so on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll take a look at the films of April 29th, including No Escape. We also have With Honors, Martin Lawrence, You So Crazy, PCU, The Favor, and High Lonesome, The Story of Bluegrass Music. So 6 movies to look at to wrap up the April 1994. And, yeah, that's going to do it. So thank you very much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And I will see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. And until then, as always, take care.